Okay, so we have solved polynomials and quadratics using factoring, and now we are going to use the quadratic formula. So this is our quadratic formula right here. You will be given this on the test and on the worksheets, so you don't have to memorize it, but you do need to know how to use it. Okay, so we're first going to talk about your ABCs. So we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals your 0. Okay, there's a few things that are important in this. First, x squared is where your a is. So the number in front, if there's no number in front, we always know that there's a 1. B is right by your x, and c is your number. If there is no number, then it would be a 0. And the other most important thing is this right here. Okay? It needs to equal 0. So that is your first step before you start solving and using the quadratic formula. Alright, so let's try a few. So, first of all, this is our quadratic formula. Will be there. So let's take our first problem. Our a is going to be a 1. Our b is going to equal negative 6. And our c, negative 21. Or 27, I mean. Okay? So now we have our ABCs. That's our step 1. So step 1, get equal to 0, which it already is. And step 2, find ABCs. Okay? Alright, so now we got to put it into the equation. So, there we go. So now I have x equals, now our negative b, that is the opposite of b. So that means that if it's negative, it changes to positive. If it's positive, it changes to negative. So b right here is negative, so it would change to a positive. So a positive 6 plus or minus the square root of now negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 27 all over 2 times 1. So I am going to tell you exactly how you're going to put in your calculator. Otherwise, it's easy to make mistakes. Okay? So I want you to put in this right here. Okay? So push in negative 6 squared, and negative 6 needs to be in parentheses. Otherwise, it's going to be a negative, and we know negative numbers squared isn't negative, it's positive. So this would be negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 27. So all of that under the square root is what we do first. Okay? So I am just going to have x equals 6 plus or minus, and all over 2. We know 2 times 1 is 2. So then I'm going to do negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 27. And I get the square root of 144. Now the square root of 144 you can find on your calculator after the fact. So I get x equals 6 plus or minus 12 all over 2. Now here is where I want you to split it up into two equations. This right here in the middle is your plus or minus. There is no plus or minus on your calculator, so that should be a hint that we need to add it first, and then we subtract it. So I'm going to take 6 plus 12 divided by 2, and then 6 minus 12 divided by 2. Now remember, you can't put this all in your calculator all at once unless you put in parentheses, because with PEMDAS, it's going to divide before you add, and that's not how this equation is set up. You need to add first and then divide. So I know that 6 plus 12 is 18, divided by 2 is 9. So that is my one answer. And then I know 6 minus 12 is negative 6, divided by 2 is negative 3. So that is my other answer. So I have my two answers. That's how we do the quadratic formula. Now I am going to do the other problem. I'm going to move it over a little bit. I still see my quadratic formula. So I first get it equal to 0. Remember that's what over here, get equal to 0. Then I'm going to find my ABCs. So my next step is to find my ABCs. A equals 2, B equals 4, C equals negative 8. So we plug it into the equation. X equals opposite of B. Now here B is positive 4, so I'm going to make it a negative 4. Plus or minus, all under the square root of B squared, 4 squared, minus 4 times A times C. Whoops, that's supposed to be an 8. All over 2 times 2. So I know that's a negative 4. I know 2 times 2 is 4. Now I need to plug that in my calculator. Remember, you're putting all of this under in your calculator. So I'm going to do 4 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 8. And I get 80. Now this one isn't going to be as nice, but that's fine. So I get x equals negative 4 plus or minus. Now the square root of 80 is going to be 8.944. So I then, let me zoom out again here. Let's move over. So I'm going to, remember, I'm going to do 2 negative 4 plus 8.994, or 8.944, all over 4, and negative 4 minus 8.944, all over 4. So I need my calculator for this one. I can't do this one in my head. So negative 4 plus 8.944, and I push enter. Then I divide by 4. I hope you're doing this with me, because this will be helpful when you get on your own. So I get 1.236, and that is one answer. And then I am going to do negative 4 minus 8.944. Enter. Divide by 4. I get negative 3.236 is my other answer. So 1.236, negative 3.236. So those are my two answers for that problem. Okay? So that is my entire problem. Here is one, and then there is the other one, and my quadratic formula, get it equal to 0, find your ABCs are your two steps, and I did those two steps, and then I solved using the quadratic formula for both of these. Alright, now it's your turn.